You are listening to the World Sports Show on WPPM LP Philadelphia. Soccer-based sports talk covering local, nation, and global soccer. Broadcasting from the Philly Cam studio in Center City, Philadelphia on 106.5 FM.
Welcome, World Sports Show. This is Charlie Flowe with John DiCriscio. You're listening to World Sports Show on WPPM LP Philadelphia, 106.5 on your FM dial, on the internet at www.phillycam.org/radio/listen. Good evening to you, John. How are you tonight, my friend?
Doing good. Good night here. Nice cold night in Philly. Watching DJ Domino.
Cold. I feel like it's a warm front. We
Yeah.
hit 50 today, dude. I was out in a short sleeve, man.
Yeah, the DJ's packing up the vinyl.
Yeah.
It's awesome. A set of
Great
vinyl.
show. Elevated brought us right in, and we'll warm you up and keep you rolling through the next hour. We'll be on air to about 10 o'clock tonight. Get out and get something warm to drink and eat. So, how was your weekend, John?
It's going, man. Just a end of the year grind. Trying to get everything done. Trying to prepare World Sports Show for 2018, but we got a little bit of unfinished business left for 2017.
Yeah. We still have a couple weeks on the calendar, so everybody tune in. We got some really great shows coming up to the end of the year and into the next year. New of the year. I don't even know what language that is, but into next year we have some really great shows planned. We have some great guests we're booking and lining up for January. So stay tuned. We'll get our calendar out there, and I think the big thing that's on everybody's calendar in Philadelphia in the soccer industry and every coach and every player out there is the convention. It's not the NSCAA anymore. It's the United Soccer Coaches. So USC, it doesn't just stand for Southern Cal or University of South Carolina. Got to get used to the acronym. I know that I'm going to probably be corrected several times throughout the week.
What are you going to do? It's been one name for so long.
Yeah, exactly.
Give it a year to
I'll
fade.
still call it the NSCAA, because USC always thinks of, like I said, University of Southern Cal. Anyway, the MLS draft will be in Philadelphia. It's been here several times now. It feels like it's here every other year. Some years we get it back-to-back, but that draft will be in Philadelphia January the 19th, the MLS Super Draft. The day before that, on Thursday, the 18th of January at 11 a.m., the NWSL draft, their college draft will take place. We will be there. We'll give you more details about how we'll be handling it and the broadcast details for that. We'll get all that information to you shortly. So stay tuned to the show. Also, in some trending topics in North American women's soccer coming out of CONCACAF, Alex Morgan was named CONCACAF Player of the Year for 2017. She led the USA in scoring this past year, and we know she picked up some hardware over in France, and she helped lead the Orlando Pride to their first ever playoff appearance, led by head coach Tom Sermani, goalkeeper coach, and good friend of the show, Lloyd Yaxley. So very good year for Alex Morgan. It was interesting. Good year, but quiet good year.
Exactly.
Because it was a non-major year for international soccer/football because no Olympics, no World Cup for the women's side, no qualifiers, So on the women's side, it was one of those years that was, we had the She Believes Cup, and then we had the, Tournament of Nations, the one over in California. So a quiet year, unfortunately, a year that the U.S. women didn't take any trophies home, but an experimental year. We saw Jill Ellis have 3 in the back, 5 midfielders. We saw Julie Ertz play some, midfield into some attacking midfield roles. So we saw a lot of different things and a lot of parts moving, so got no issue with Alex Morgan being Player of the Year. I think it was a good pick. If I had my vote, I might have gone Julie Ertz, but, hey, it's a good vote. Sometimes forwards get the benefit of scoring and they become the Player of the Year.
I mean, if we're talking about the whole federation as far as Player of the Year, I mean, for a popularity contest, Absolutely. But as far as, we could take a deep dive into a deserving player. I mean, I don't know. A lot of arguments can be made. I'm the naysayer. I think that, it's leading the U.S. in scoring, 9 goals in 13 games for Orlando, having some hardware over in Europe. But, I mean, I beg to differ, and I think that I'm gonna have to pull up some stats and give you a player who's gonna who should
we'll have the stat crew. My argument towards this might catch a little heat for this, but my argument was okay. I'm happy that we have U.S. players going to Europe and playing games in Europe. Fine, I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. But I think that you have to have played a full NWSL season to be a CONCACAF player because you're playing in a UEFA country. To me, it's CONCACAF Player of the Year, not Best Women's Soccer Player of the World. That's my argument that it's got to be an NWSL player that was with her team the entire training camp to playoffs. Yeah.
Because
you're coming off a loan, so she joined a team late. I mean, Marta came a little late, but, she came because it was, wasn't it? I personally think find a player, and I know it's tough because you have some big perennial names that went on loan to English teams, that went on loan to French teams, and then they come back, but they miss the first chunk of the season. I think the CONCACAF player is a player that was with the NWSL the whole entire season.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like on the women's side, the voting, on the men's side too, don't get me wrong, just, when you really start stripping down the rules and the parameters for player of the year.
Yeah.
It's going to be a popularity contest. That's fine. We get a little bit bent out of shape about it, but in reality, what is it? What is it?
We talked about this before the show. It's kind of like when you see the All-Star games when, everybody's been to these, like how the baseball and some of the other sports handle it. Especially baseball, you got 82 home games that are 81 home games, and stuff on the ballot, ends up saying is you'll come when people go over to PA, make sure you vote for Johnny Smith, at first base. Never mind, he's only batting like 270, but it's like stuff the ballot. Everybody, I've been to several Phillies games, and you'll see fans in the stand voting for every single position for your hometown. It's
sure.
like
it's
it's a popularity contest. So I mean, I get it, but I mean, I want to see players like Mew be up there, like Christy Mew and Emily Sonnet starting, players that won an NWSL title. To me, that would be the parameters. Did you win a major title in your confederation? No, won a major title in Europe.
Right.
Hired
gun.
And the USA didn't win a single tournament this year either. So to me, it's like a lot of these little things I would cross off the list as qualifications for being player of the year. It's like my whole argument that you can't be an MVP on a non-playoff team.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, I saw a good one in sports. Not the. We're definitely a soccer-based show. And we like to argue, but Giancarlo Stanton this year, won the National League MVP
on the Miami Marlins.
On the Miami Marlins team. I mean,
they get 13 people to come to their games,
and that's including vendors.
Yeah, it's including the field and maintenance crew out there. They make the people go around the turnstile 3 times.
Man, lucky you don't have a rain delay. They're all holding the tarp down out there. But it's in rare cases do I believe that a non-playoff team player can be an MVP of a league, and this is a case where I don't think that applies. So,
baseball is also a very individual sport. He goes to bat and does his thing. He can't help what the guy did before him and after him, especially in baseball where you could have an amazing season, but you have no control of what the guy batting behind you does or the guy batting in front of you. Where you look at team sports like soccer, you can make players better around you.
Right. And, in baseball, it would help to have, they say protect the player with a good batter in back of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Junk around them and stole 50-plus home runs, and that's why I just got signed to New York Yankees.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, a guy like that, if he's got somebody good batting in front of him and they can get on base, it's got a good on-base percentage. Same thing with transition to soccer. You could have the best player like a Pirlo, distributing the ball, but who's he punching it to? Luckily, he had a guy named David Villa something. I've heard of him. You heard of him?
Dave Villa.
Yeah, exactly. So you went along with the joke. I appreciate it. A little pitch and catch there.
There you go.
It goes back to baseball again. So, we won't bore you to death. But no, it's very true that these are the factors that you and I look at. You're constantly you work with high school players, coach high school players, and I coach college players. So I go to your games, and I've gone to a couple of your games just scouting some players, and I look at that player that's working well with other players that's making other players better.
That's it.
Is a forward benefiting from a good midfielder, or is she actually a good forward, and vice versa? Is the good midfielder just feeding forwards that just are not making the proper runs? She's playing great through balls in, but nobody's on the end to connect.
Right. It's just tough to find, at that level, even going up to college, getting ready to go to professional. And if that player's not totally immersing themselves in the game and practices, and it's bringing the best out of other players, because, you look at it like we got the college draft coming up. How many of those players are going to be on the field right away?
You are an amazing person, John. Right. You read my mind.
How many?
How many first round are just first round or first MLS picks?
MLS, and how many
have had successful careers? A lot of them fall. Some of them even touch the field.
That's it.
Look on the NWSL. These players are franchise-changing players. So it's almost like if you had the franchise tag in the NWSL, players like Sonnet and Morgan, when she got drafted, Morgan Bryan, not Alex Morgan, but Morgan Bryan for the Dash, players like that are automatic impact, starting 11, playing 90-plus minutes. You look at the MLS, you got guys like, for example, that came Philadelphia Union's first ever pick, Danny Mwanga, was kind of a journeyman in the MLS, could barely, get on with the Union, had a first, decent season. As comes that thing where you're thinking, okay, is it going to come? Is it going to come? And it just never came. Great guy, but just never came. And then you start looking players, that are friends of the show that could barely even get on the field. I remember with Peter Novak, Chandler Hoffman, for example.
That's right.
Great score at UCLA. Couldn't even get on the pitch. Now, is this, because we're not invited to all the training. You and I are very limited to what kind of training we can go to. So what's going on there? And as a forward, getting 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, there's never time to sink in. To me, it's MLS teams can't be built from a draft. NWSL, you can build from a draft. Because I don't know if it's just that I think the transition that women's college soccer, I think, is better than men's, because you have all these academies and different players leaving where college players, that is the best place to play. You don't hear many. It's a rare that you hear players going out early, which is an exception with Mallory Pugh, spending one term, not even a full year at Stanford, and coming out early and signing with the Washington Spirit and already making an impact right away. You're talking a player that, played one college season versus these young men that played 4 years in college, and some of them don't even make the team.
Yeah, and I think one difference also compared to, building through the draft, NWSL, like a top 5, how much money are they going to be making compared to the top stars in the league? It's not comparable, but it's not outrageous compared to a draft pick coming out and a superstar in the MLS. The money's huge. So, it's that money gap alone is going to kind of force somebody on a bench, because if you got somebody who's an international, a designated player, whatever category of player you have, and they're making a nice chunk of change compared to a draft pick coming in making, it's like the director or the coach, they don't want to be proved wrong that they made the move to bring in that money player.
Yeah.
So money players usually trump the other players until they start losing.
Because that's the thing is what college soccer, and it stinks, and I'm a college coach, but college soccer's not big like college football or any other college sport in America. That you're not getting these names that they're going to change your team within a year. Maybe a couple years. There has been exceptions. There's been some really good pickups in the college draft.
As big as in amount of players or as big as in popularity?
I guess a popularity / contract. Like, for example, you'll never, I don't think, maybe it'll be 10 years, but like the idea of I don't even know if it would even have the effects of, even if it happens, this rule, like NFL, NBA holdouts. Like, I'm not coming to camp till I sign a contract. Okay. I just think that's not a soccer culture thing.
Right. Like
big enough name where I'm getting, 7 digits. Not going to happen. Will there ever be a college player? No, maybe because that college player maybe became a pro, was already with a European team, already with an academy at 16, 17.
Right. Would you say that there's more soccer college teams overall or football? I would say
soccer.
Soccer.
I mean, think about it. You need a field, some jerseys,
so,
and their
I mean,
liability insurance for college soccer versus football.
So the players are there.
Yeah, the players are there. I just think that
is it just there's availability to go outside the country and
I think that
take talent.
Leagues like the PDL and USL PDL are really, I think, need more support from U.S. Soccer because it's kind of the minor league system up, but it's set up a little different. Like, what is the feeder system? Is it the PDL teams or is it the college teams? But the PDL teams are made up of college players, but then it's a different type of chemistry because when you're coaching PDL, you're taking some of the best college players from random schools.
Sure.
You might be made up of, say you got a roster of 25. You can only dress 18, yeah, but say you're carrying 25. And that can be a risk too. I've seen PDL teams that carry 4 keepers, and these keepers quit halfway through the season. And I kind of, like, almost shame on you for carrying that many players, bringing that many guys in, and they never get to see the field.
Yeah,
I think you carry enough roster to get through a season, but get everybody involved in playtime. Is the job of the coach. The D in PDL stands for development, but you also have the coaches that I want to win this PDL title. So what is your goal as a program?
Well, I think I would like to see the developmental players in a situational game that matters. Like if they're in a championship game, I think you're going to get a better gauge on watching them perform.
That's true. Instead of giving everybody playtime like YMCA rules.
So if you're going to give them, a ton of playtime against an inferior team, what really are we looking at? Like I want to see the quality of a game rather than quantity.
Yeah, it's true.
But also just looking at the draft, like to me, it just goes to show that there's no way to build through the draft. Just looking at, we have the 57th overall pick was passed on. We start getting passes in the draft. Real Salt Lake, pass, skip. It's
like did the clock expire? You just said, no, we're set. It's almost to the point where these teams are built enough that they don't have those needs, so you're not just picking a pick for the pick's sake. But to me, it's why are you not picking for the pick for the sake? Try something out. Look at, like, we see all these D1 schools. Like, this is the part that still blows my mind with MLS GMs, why I still think that some of them are complete. I'm sorry, you're morons. I'll call you out there. Some of you are just complete morons. That there's these NCAA schools, JUCOs, Division II schools, players that we recruited internationally that didn't have the money to go to a D1 school or couldn't afford a school. And they're at a D2 school, and they're killing it. And because it just looks that the Super Draft is so Division I heavy. Now, I coach at a Division II school. Yeah, I'm biased. But we have beat Division I schools. Yeah, they are preseason friendlies and scrimmages, but they're putting their A roster. We're putting our A roster, and we clean house with them. So what's to say that why are we so heavy on D1? Why isn't there that GM that's really like scouts in the NFL, like for example, like the Patriots, like what Bill Belichick does in New England? I'm not a New England fan, but they find talent and they plug them into a system. Finding that guy, or even from the women's side, that gal that fits your system. And you're going to tell me there's no scouts that they just totally forget about Division II.
Well, it's more of a pedigree.
Yeah.
They're looking at that pedigree. They know the system. They can handle themselves as a professional.
Yeah.
Because I think majority you got these guys who come from D2, D3, and make the jump to professional. Are they as polished, or is it a long-term project?
Yeah, it can be dated both sides.
I was waiting for you to go Carson Wentz there for a minute. I was like, oh, here we go.
I didn't even think that, but no, it's true that how many Heisman-winning quarterbacks have been flops?
Sure. The key to sports, and I guess the key to life, is evaluation of talent. If you can't evaluate what's,
a player that can shine in a system or a player that can shine in any system. And I think it goes back to, I forget what I was talking about players that are so used to playing systems. You and I coach youth, and there's times where, hey, I'm going to try this 3-back system out, and parents freak out on me. What are you doing? Why would you do that? Our kids like, no, coach, I don't know what to do. Like, they get so stuck on a certain way to play.
That's right.
That, you have these players that are used to playing great and they're feeding off of a good system, win a national title, but then they end up bouncing around in the MLS and can't seem to find a team because maybe they're used to playing in a certain system and they've only played under one club, one system, or they played with Club A, didn't get a lot of play time. They went to Club B. I want my son to play more. So there's that debate where it's good to have that valuable play time, but then when you're constantly every couple of years moving to a different club, you don't have the consistency for the child.
Yeah.
So I know I'm getting a little off topic to what we were talking about, but
it's all relevant. I mean, it's
exactly.
We're just trying to dig up the reason for the draft. I mean,
like every other major sport in America, like
it's funny how we're just shooting them down.
Yeah.
Rick.
I mean, you look at NBA, NFL, like you build out the draft, but then you've got NHL and Major League Baseball. You don't necessarily build out of your draft. You build out of your farm system. These players are being developed after they've been picked, and I think that's the thing that they're really trying to do with these teams partnering with USL teams and partnering with PDL teams. And, the union we're living in a city that happens to have a PDL affiliate and a USL affiliate. So, a lot of people don't realize that Bethlehem Steel players don't really even live in Bethlehem. They show up for game day, basically. They're living in the Philadelphia area and training on the same fields as the union.
I know, kind of nice up there. We got Jazz Fest.
This is true. Hey, what do you know about Jazz Fest, my man?
Come on. What do you know about Jazz Fest, Mr. Virginia?
I know I saw the Indigo Girls at Jazz Fest. Feel like I lost a bet.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So, anyway, but I think that's something that having the minor league system, but not only that, but training on the same grounds of and working with the first team. It's the whole idea of next man up.
Yeah, next man up and just getting it's culture. It's more of who's going to be – it's the evaluation process. They can't really be training up air. You're going to have scouts. You're going to get feedback from scouts. You're going to have the actual coaches and the technical staff right there.
Yeah.
And actually playing together, training together, seeing who's sharp, seeing who's got it, seeing who's got the stuff, the energy. There's a long list of stuff that we can
you got debate. Brendan Burke, which is the coach for the Bethlehem Steel, and you got Jim Curtin, the coach of the union, and being at the same location, being able to talk face-to-face and being able to see, hey, we know Jim can't make all the Bethlehem Steel games because, hey, union's playing, but seeing these guys in training on an everyday basis, being on the same fields and being in the same facilities.
That's right.
It's almost that it's one big team, and it's really their B team. It really, I like that idea that it should be like the reserve because they did have the MLS Reserve League, and some of those games would occur an hour or two after all the Union fans left. They didn't realize there's a lot of times there used to be reserve games, but they were closed to the public, which I still never got. Like, how would you kick all the fans out? I get it because you got to shut down the stadium. People got to go home, but
I like when the reserve games were going on the pitch outside. It was free before the game, which was nice to go see the Steel play down at Town Energy Stadium. This was early on in the season.
Yeah.
And I guess I kind of faded out a little bit, or if they had it, and I just wasn't there showing up at game time. But that was a good touch. Go and see a little bit of action, see the new guys coming in.
Yeah,
see who's got it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I want to see there's not the consistency in college soccer. Every program is completely different. I don't want the program I coach with to be regulated by somebody above, but that's the thing is it's per coach. Every system is going to be completely different. Every practice run a little different. So what culture these players are in can be completely different in college. And the college, why it's a lot harder. I mean, we used to have some great conversation with Chandler Hoffman when he came to Philadelphia. He was on the show several times and became really good friends with him. And I love just connecting with these rookies that come in because it's not necessarily culture shock. It's more of this season is still going on.
Yeah.
You and I coach quick seasons. Yours is even quicker than mine. I think college is quick.
Nah,
when you're looking at 2.5 games a week, and then you look at high school, 3 games a week, before you know it, in a couple weeks, your season's over.
That's it.
You're talking MLS.
Yeah.
These guys are starting to train right after the draft, and if they played right, they're playing to 2 weekends ago or a weekend ago is when I mean, the MLS Cup was last weekend. So if you play your cards right, you're almost together for 11 months. You're looking at 10 and a half months together.
That's much.
Versus
That's a lot.
College teams, we're meeting mid-August, getting in maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks, starting to play preseason games. Like 3 or 4 days into training, we're playing a couple preseason games. And then before you know it, your season's over. Before you know it, your tournament's over.
That's a lot of soccer.
So it's different demands on the body. Because MLS, you really get a week to recover almost. Maybe 5 days if you look at the travel and then actually getting fit and actually days that you can really train. But I think that's another thing. It's harder. And there's always that debate, John. I don't know how you feel, but they talk about, do we make college soccer 2 seasons, like an A and a B, split it half into spring or half into fall and then go into the spring, like take a winter break or something. I mean, I don't like it personally because they're there to get an education.
Right. I don't like it either. Just one is logistically it's a nightmare. 2 is their students.
Yeah.
And 3 is, it's as far as performance, it's the reason for the shortened season is just to fit it in, to go along with the school. You want to get it in. You don't want to take the kid out of their studies. You got international players. I just don't think it'll be a good fit.
I really enjoyed the spring season because the games don't matter. We play about 6 games in our program in the spring. We play some like benefit tournaments that like you might play an hour game and then you sit out for an hour and you play another hour game where it's like 5-team tournament. It's benefiting some type of charity or foundation. We played one in Millersville this past spring, and that's when you do a lot of experimenting and the fun comes back into it where you actually don't worry about the results and just go out there and have fun with your players. And the atmosphere is still serious at training, it's still serious during the game, but there's not that stress. And it's the best times as coaches because you get to try everything out. And the players, I think, do better in the games because it's not so bang, 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 bang. It might be a game,
right?
A week off game, week off game. So
I just don't, I think the kids need that break.
They do.
I just don't think, I think it would, in my opinion, I think it hurts the kids more than it benefits the kids having a spring season. If there's a fall season. Like 2 seasons, I think it's just much.
Yeah.
Unless it's, they should be working on more individual training, fitness, and, I
being
guess.
a college student.
Being a college
having
student.
a life, because there's.
There you go.
It's a little bit less pressure for my team because we're a Division II school, but I hear the horror stories about some of the Division I kids that the coaches are pushing them so hard in the spring. It's almost like, dude, pump the brakes, bro. Like, chill out a little bit. It's such a grind that sometimes they just end up hating soccer. Because the chances of a Division I player getting drafted into the MLS is so small. So realistically, that's it. And to push them so hard and serious, and I don't think a lot of people realize there is spring season, doesn't really count, but these guys are still getting up, and gals still getting up at like 6 a.m, going 5 practices a week in the spring. For what? You don't play a real meaningful game until last week in August.
That's a little much.
Yeah, dude. I think it's a lot of the old boys club and the way soccer is. A lot of these coaches really need to research on how to develop the player and not just push them into games and let these players manage their life and manage their schedules and get good grades instead of just, this is not your club. This is not a pro club. This is a university.
There you go.
I mean, that's just my 2 cents there, and definitely have a lot more to talk about on the second half of this show. We'll get into some other news with LAFC held their expansion draft, and they selected 5 players. We'll break down each one of those players and what it means, and we'll break down some other stuff at the end of the show about some awards and some voting we'll have ending the year going into 2018. We'll come up with some player awards, coaches award, team awards, all the best of 2017. It's something that's going to be very heavy fan involvement.
Very. I mean, the fans shall speak.
Yeah.
The fans are right. The fans control our show.
You buy the tickets, man. You listen to the show.
That's it. I mean, we do take feedback on what you fans want to hear, especially mailbag at worldsportshow.com. I do like the feedback. A lot of times people send us messages in, hey, being very critical, which I am. I'll email other media sources and be very critical because that's just what I like. That's my passion. I'll pick apart. We do get chewed up over pronunciations of names. People do check our information. We do get fact checked.
Yeah.
So it's all the way around, and it's good because it shows that people are listening and passionate about it.
If you correct me, it's because you care.
You're right.
I don't purposely do it.
Yeah. We can take the heat. We've been taking the heat for a while, so
don't mind, man.
Nothing new,
Yeah.
It's rare. I mean, just going back over, being on the air for so long, it's not really too much that we haven't encountered as far as even like, from technical to programming, like all the blunders and difficulties that we've go through. It is what it is. I mean,
showing up and doing TV broadcasts with one microphone.
Yep.
We'll have to.
2 people, 1 microphone, no stand. Here you go. Call game.
Never mind that you fans, when you're watching television, 9 times out of 10, actually more than that, I'd probably say 99% of the time, the view you see on TV is the kind of view that we see in a broadcast booth. Our first ever professional game together as a broadcast crew, we were sitting in a corner opposite of the TV screen.
It was insane.
Yeah.
So basically, the next game, we had to supply our own production equipment.
Our own equipment.
So we
own mics, own headphones.
Own mics. So we produced, we called the game, and it was interesting. And for people out there, just give it a try. If you think that, you're listening to a production crew, play-by-play and color analyst on the TV, just try doing it yourself. Hit mute, sit back, and try for 5 minutes, especially soccer. And if you really want to ramp it up, try indoor. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so fast. It's no breathing.
The thing about indoor soccer, like you said, it's bang, bang, bang. And then I started my, broadcast career doing indoor soccer with you. Me and you did it. I did the play-by-play. You did the color analyst. I think people think that the play-by-play is the hardest. I honestly think color analyst is the hardest. I've done both. I've been a color analyst. I've been play-by-play. While I'm talking, you've got to find that second that there's dead time and you're not interrupting me when there's something relevant going on, and you've got to say something meaningful, which means you're paying attention to the game and you're watching a lot of off-the-ball stuff.
That's right.
You're watching the subs, what formation they're running, have they changed it? Me, I'm just so focused on the ball of what I see going on right in front of me.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in. Well, for one, is I'm just looking for the space on your dead time to get in and get out. I want to get in there, make my point, make my observation, and it better be good.
And don't be Captain Obvious.
Don't be Captain Obvious. I was like, the goal was set up by a pass. It's like, okay. But,
they outscored them. That's how they won.
It's like you're taking it back why and why. So answer to why and go again why it happened. So you got to spit that out.
And you're constantly, the cool part of the thing about you're taking notes for me and passing me notes.
Yeah.
Because people say, I used to be that guy until I got into broadcasting. Like, how does he not know that it's been 10 shots on goal? He just said, there's been about 9 shots on goal. Like, play-by-play, you can't write down stuff and take notes, especially in the indoor game. You do have a few. That's what halftime's for. You really review all your stats, but you are constantly passing me notes saying, hey, they've been offside 2 or 3 times in this game.
Yeah, even, what's on the bench and just, look at different point of views. But I think the hardest thing for even doing play-by-play is knowing when to take a break. Because it's easy just to look down on the field and say, call out a player, call out a ball, who's getting it, what they're doing.
Yeah, you have to breathe. Let the game breathe a little bit.
Yeah, here in the crowd, let it resonate a little bit. Let it make the call. And then also one thing that we talk about, which really makes or breaks a play-by-play, is how they call a goal or a touchdown or a score. If they're way over the top, people hate it. And if they have standard emotion, people are like, why aren't they very jumping through the microphone?
Well, yeah,
it's got to be, you got to find some type of balance, but it's like you take heat either way unless you're polished and get your signature call.
Well, also the thing too that used to bother me, that different teams that I've worked for, that either, let's put it this way, people don't realize that I look at it as there's 2 types of broadcaster. You're getting paid by the team, or are you getting paid by the network?
That's right.
So me and you have been in both situations. We've gotten paid by the team. We've gotten paid by the network. So you got to keep the home team happy.
The payee happy.
But let's think about this. If I'm at home watching this TV, why am I going to be 100% biased for that home team? I've listened to those broadcasts. Dude, they're horrible. It's like, dude, they're drinking the company coffee, and they're telling me how delicious the company coffee is.
Right.
Because they're cutting a check. So here's my little insight. What I do, and you and me do, I call it 60-40. 60% towards the home team. I'm 60% biased, but let's be obvious. If there's a handball in the box, I'm like, oh, clearly that was not a handball.
That's a lot of
you really
they go above and beyond to.
But
make
then
it,
me and you have conversations with teams that don't exist anymore, so we can't really offend anybody. They don't exist, but you got to call it more for the home team. You got to be more. I'm like, I'm calling what I see, man.
That's our job. It's the ethics of being
a broadcaster. But then they remind you, we're paying you.
You're to inform, educate, and give it some flair.
A lot of people don't realize that, and I've heard several soccer broadcasts in America where it's like I have to just mute it because it's become so homer, and they get so excited when they score. It's like they're celebrating in the booth. To me, there's a level of professionalism. Professionalism. I can't even speak.
There you go.
That I'm happy the team that I'm employed by won. Great. But I'm not going to go over the top and act like I just won the World Cup and screaming and it's such a fanboy thing. It's like fanboy broadcast, that so-and-so just won the game. This is so good. It's like, relax, man.
I think we should just be, like over the top, like even here. I think for 2018, that's going to be our
the over-the-top
motto.
Fanboy broadcast.
Like even right now when we're broadcasting, we're going to be, if it's not World Sports Show or any, we're going to go Philadelphia or whoever. We're going to pick our favorites at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
We're just going to be absolute nuts. Like,
Love it, man.
Thank you for listening.
Exactly. So it is interesting. So think about that when you're watching a game, especially these local, smaller minor league teams, and just kind of listen in and also taking the fact that those guys that are broadcasting the game, they might be all surfing as producers. Like,
I got a little challenge for you guys,
okay.
and I think you'll agree, and I think you'll definitely be down to this. With this, if you guys think you got chops, mailbag@worldsportshow.com. Send us your name and let us know if you got chops or not, because we'll bring you up here in the studio. We'll put on a clip of a game, and we'll see if you got chops. I'm definitely going to do
sit in
that.
front of a TV or my computer
You're going to
screen.
come up and sit in the seat that I'm in right here in the studio. If you think you got chops, I'll challenge you and see if you got chops on a play-by-play. We'll put some indoor games on that me and you have called, and we'll see if you can call it.
Yeah.
We'll give you this. We'll give you exactly what we had when we went into the game. We'll give you the name, the stat. We'll get the exact sheet, the media card.
Oh, no, we'll mess up the stat sheet because we've gotten bad stat sheets, remember?
We've gotten...
Like 34 says Williams in the stat sheet, but 34 steps on the field. That ain't Williams.
We've had
Davis.
Duplicate jerseys. We've had mispronunciation.
Duct tape. We've had duct tape jerseys with names on the back of duct tape.
So that's it. If you guys want to give your shot, we'll give you your 5 minutes of fame, but don't drop it.
And I do mess up pronunciations, but if the pronunciation guide is wrong, whose fault is it?
We've got that.
Sometimes me and you go to the field and ask the player, dude, how do I say your name, man?
Right.
We'll just go to the field before the game and say, I see your name spelled this way. How do you say it? It was a player on Sky Blue. I got butchered all season. People saying the nastiest things about me on Instagram, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, even on the YouTube. I just went to the player to be in the season. She told me how to say her last name. People are like, that's not how she says it. I'm like, you're saying it because you've heard it said that way. I went to her face and asked her.
That's right.
So it's one of those things where be very careful when you criticize a broadcaster, because I was actually talking to one of my buddies, Dave Leno. He does the broadcasting. Did a couple years ago for the Bethlehem Steel. Does a lot of college. Does play-by-play for the Union. Does their halftime show. Been having some great conversations with him. We're going to try to meet up really soon and talk, just about the broadcast industry. And hopefully we'll get him on the show soon or have him as a call-in guest. But me and him talk about a lot of those different things that you can put in hours and hours in research. And you don't realize that the amount of hours you and I spent before a game, maybe a 3-hour game, you might spend 10 to 12 hours that whole weekend getting the names down, getting the numbers down, getting their stats down.
I mean, let's face it, until you get to the top tier of the top leagues, that's when you get a media production assistant.
People are just handing you stats every 5 minutes.
Not 99% of the broadcasters out there.
And it's in there. They got a guy in their ear yelling, stats. So, but no, you've definitely worn. People don't even realize here on this show that you have two roles. You're a host and you're a producer.
See, what I haven't told you in a couple years, this is actually automated, these buttons.
He's over there just clicking and pushing things up and down.
I'm actually watching YouTube over here. Some
knobs, I mean, even the experiences we have, I think you and I should write a book, a joint book together of all the adventures we had in radio. That we were at a radio station and got moved to a sister radio station in Gloucester, New Jersey, and we had a calling guest lined up, and we're like, "Where's your calling line?" And
Major
like,
guest.
What?
A major
guest. I'm talking like major U.S. soccer World Cup winning. Some major guests we've had on, and we've had like other producers miss the call, didn't even answer the call. Like, that's great. I believe it was Paul Riley one time called on our show, and the guy didn't answer the phone.
Yeah, it was interesting. We got heavy hitters like, all right, we're going to move in. We're going to go into the station.
Yeah.
We're going to get some big names on. We're going to start.
Yeah.
Get a step. We got people calling. Then we had their calling line was a conference phone, like
you
a
just read my
landline.
yeah. It was speakerphone and put
Speakerphone.
the mic over the speakerphone with their calling line. We were like, you know what? We did one show at that station and left.
Was it like a boxing ring? The mic just drops down.
Yeah, no, that's really what it was. Like, you lower and you hit make sure you hit speaker and take the phone off the hook so it doesn't hang up. I'm like, that's your calling line?
Yep.
And like what VCR quality, and like knobs from the 60s and 70s. I mean, I believe somebody got a photo of that. We'll see if we can find a photo of that from that radio station of how that board.
That's the last complaint we got. Is the
I mean, you were looking like
had.
Yeah, exactly.
It was I haven't even seen a mixing or any console with a dial.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
A slider. There you say World Sports Show.
Might as well broadcast a show in Morse code. It's just going to be a bunch of beeps and dots.
It was. Pull up an Army Jeep, beep and dot it.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, it's going back. If people think they got the chops, mailbag at World Sports Show.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a World Sports Show challenge going. We talk about a lot of different on the field player challenges, but maybe we'll have a broadcast contest, maybe to win a spot. To hang out with us on a show and just sit in the studio and just give it a shot, and we'll have a contest. I mean, come into our studio. We got a couple extra mics,
and I think I have a couple. We have a couple regular guests who come on the show. I think I have them in mind.
Red Bull Ron. See if we can get hold of Red Bull Ron.
Have Kevin come in here and see if he can give 2 minutes of play-by-play. It's kind of tough, and I think that we can live stream it so you guys can watch it as well. But over the air, it's going to be funny because you guys are going to hear it and say, "Wow, it's you're either going to do real good." Like, being mediocre in broadcast is tough.
Yeah,
you're either
I've been called average. I'm like, that's a compliment.
Average
you're an average broadcaster. Team told me.
I'll
I'm
take
like,
average any day.
Fine by me, man. Average is fine.
But
yeah.
Thank you everybody out there listening. Real quick, WPPM LP, Philadelphia 106.5 FM on your dial. Thanks everybody driving, listening to us and not texting or using their mobile device. Everybody streaming, everybody listening to us on their old-fashioned console radio in their basement with the rabbit ears hooked up. So
they still exist.
I love the sound of them old consoles.
Hey, dude, I recently actually cut the cord. I'm watching TV on the antenna now. Went out, bought an antenna, cut the cord. Don't have cable TV anymore.
It's good.
I run all my sports through apps now.
It's tough.
Downloaded all the sports. Now it works, man. Downloaded all the apps. I watch all my soccer, all my American football through the apps now.
If you're into like Bonanza and them type shows.
There's some wacky shows, like I've been watching some 227. I've been watching some, what was the other spinoff show? What was before the Jeffersons? All in the Family.
Yeah. Goes back. I mean, classics.
Oh, man. Alf. I've been watching a lot of Alf lately.
Man.
It's turning into the total opposite of a sports talk radio show.
Yeah.
Talking about our 80s and 90s, 70s.
We're showing shows. Our age. We're showing our vulnerability as broadcasters.
Yeah.
But when are we going to get the over-the-air soccer channel? There's so much soccer content that they can pump out here.
Dude.
People would watch.
Yeah.
Especially in big cities, Philadelphia, D.C., New York, Baltimore. Let's go. Let's get some soccer content on the air.
Yeah, why not, man?
I mean, just think, when we were coming up starting, we were, getting VHS tapes.
We're just waiting for somebody to bring a VHS best goals of blah, 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 blah. Best. We still got to find that best red cards of.
Hard tackles and red cards.
Yeah, exactly. If a fan's out there and you want to make John and I have a very Merry Christmas, find like hard tackles, red cards, best of. I don't care what it costs. Find it, dude.
I mean, we'll give you a prize pack and a sit in here in the studio. Something like we'll talk off air, but we'll make it worth your while if you can find that. It's got to be from 89.90 around then.
Yeah, go through. I know that we have a lot of fans that are from across the pond, in UK.
It was an import.
Yeah. Call grandma, call your mom. Whoever, man, make it worthwhile. Tell them to go into their attic, or their basement or their cellar, if that's what you call it in the UK, the cellar, and try to find some VHS tapes. I don't care if it's on Betamax, man. We'll make it work.
Oh, good luck finding that one.
It could be on Laserdisc. That those things were like a 15-foot whatever diameter. Remember those big Laserdisc?
Oh, like basically look like vinyl records.
Yeah, exactly.
Please flip the side too.
It's like, dang it.
It's like Indiana Jones. He's getting ready to take the trophy or whatever, the World Cup looking trophy.
Well, it's like the old school movies, like when they used to have black and white movie on the screen, and then the soundtrack would come on record. They had to sync them. Even if you got to find it like that.
we're going back a little far tonight. But yeah, one thing also that me and Charlie do talk about, we'll come on the air and we'll say some stuff, and we'll throw some stuff in there, and people will get irate about. Like I just dropped an air about Indiana Jones winning a World Cup looking trophy. I guarantee you, within that 30 seconds of me saying that, somebody was getting ready to go on their phone and email in. That's how it is. I love the vultures to pick us apart, but it's good though. Keeps us sharp.
Yeah, dude, I don't mind. I got thick skin, man.
Oh, that's why we're here. We think it's a blast.
Yeah, dude. There's too many people that get bent out of shape about goofy stuff. You know, we're in the age and age. Oh man, I'm bent out of shape. Oh, I'm offended. Blah blah. My feelings are hurt, man. Like I deal with helicopter parents left and right. You know, I mean, I'm not gonna say what session I coached, but recently I had a mother come up to me and say, "This is my child's first ever soccer session. You know, she might not be able to handle the pressure and might break down into tears." I'm like, this is a rec like session. We're just gonna be like, what kind of pressure are you putting on? You're worried about your kid breaking down in tear. I'm like, nah, dude. My kids laugh, have a good time, but what has your experience of soccer been that the parent thinks that I'm gonna push a 7-year-old to the point where they're gonna be upset?
It's not that. I mean, it's it's a lot of kids just have anxiety. It's not you. It's
no,
not
I know.
The session. It's just
the kid did fine. I coached the kid.
Yeah,
she did fine. Had a blast. Made friends, but I think the parents sometimes overstress themselves.
Parents get protective, but they're just looking at giving you the pre-warning. They might not have liked your sweatshirt or something that day. Who knows?
Who knows? So, but some other news out of the MLS, LAFC. It's weird to think that there's going to be another LA MLS team starting this year with Bob Bradley coaching the team. This past Tuesday, they had the expansion draft. They chose 5 players. I think a couple that can be impacts. I mean, you look at it; they all are going to be impacts within the team because
Carlos Vela, impact player.
So let's go through the list. They also got Tyler Miller, goalkeeper out of Seattle Sounders. Good pickup. They got forward out of Kansas City, Blessing. Good pickup. Aria from San Jose. Raheem Edwards from Toronto. So, I mean, they've got some players that you look at that roster and you say, all right, all but 4 out of the 5 had playoff experience just this season.
That's right.
On a playoff roster. San Jose made it happen, and
they're coming into play. I mean, 500 is going to get you into playoffs in
MLS. Yeah.
So I think that in the West, just looking at the West, finishing off Portland, Seattle, Vancouver, Houston, KC, San Jose.
Yeah.
San Jose's picking back up. They're looking to sign in another big striker, another Swede, played for Djurgården.
Okay.
That's another pronunciation we'll probably get chewed up about, but the way Swedes pronounce it, it's a little bit tough, and I cannot do it at all.
Peter.
Hey, Peter. But yeah, it's to come into the West and to make a splash and actually make the playoffs will be an amazing feat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just tough soccer, tough coming in. It's I like the fans are taking cheap shots, Chivas too, which is, it's only right.
Yeah.
You got to take a little bit of needling. But right now, I think it might be possible what they're doing. I mean, they're coming in to win. Atlanta's coming in to win. The other teams, the older teams, especially your original squads, they're going to have to pick it up. I mean, what's DC going to do?
Yeah, exactly. The old boys that were the founding teams from the very first start.
What's Galaxy going to do?
Yeah, like what's your excuse? That you got teams that have 1 or 2 years experience that have already passed you, and you're talking 1 or 2 penalty kicks for Atlanta. Bang, they might have been in the conference finals or semifinals. It went down to PKs for Atlanta. So here's my question for you, John. That you're starting your own MLS expansion team, LAFC. You've got these 5 players. What direction do you go next? We talked a little bit about it. You're the GM.
In the West, defense and speed.
Okay.
You got to stay strong in the middle.
Different needs in Atlanta because Atlanta's in the East, and they did it with a lot of South American, Latino talent, Central American talent.
I'm going, I'm mining South America if I am LAFC coming in. It's a little bit tough now since they do have their designated players and their international spots just about locked up, other than other little side rules or, stuff that I'm not aware of. But, right now you're building – you guess you got to pluck from the draft and you got to pluck from availability. So, it's their big pieces are in place. And I think that, if they can get some veterans, you got to get bargains. It's not even the quality. You got to get bargains. You got to get half-decent players at cheap.
Yeah.
And then we'll see how it plays out with their, the ticket sales. But I think they got the coaching.
Bob Bradley's a
Bradley's
well-qualified coach.
He's more than capable.
Dude.
But it's a thing. It's, just looking at the Western Conference, I think that, Portland and Seattle are perennials. They're going to be battling. They're going to should be in the playoffs. I can't say going to be because, it's professional sports and just one tweak, and that's your star player, and that's your season.
Yeah, asking for Seattle to do what they did the last 2 seasons in a row. They won it last year, runners-up this year. How do you stay on top in a very, very competitive league? This is not anything like EPL or Spanish League where the same 3 or 4 teams are going to be the top every single year.
Right.
There's so much turnover and so much change. If they follow a model of Atlanta, running out of the gates, and suddenly, if you're in the West, it's not suddenly this team you can beat up on.
Yeah.
It used to be the old we were kids, new team enters any major sporting league, they get the first draft pick, but it takes a while for that pick. They're always like a dead last team. Everybody wants to play them multiple times a year. Now you look at Atlanta, Minnesota came on a little bit too late, but it came to the point where nobody wanted to play Atlanta. Everybody says, I want to go play that expansion team. There's no kids on the block. Heck no, dude.
Nobody wanted to play Atlanta, especially away. Or when
it became real away.
Yeah, real away. That the crowd was amazing in Atlanta. But just going back to the standings, 15 wins is going to get you in the playoffs, or a boatload of ties. So basically, if LA can win, at home, if they can have some home wins, I think that they're looking at sitting in there. What do you need? 4 or 5 away wins, pretty much to get
just a few.
4,
you can half a dozen away wins get you in.
That's the thing. Looking at LA Galaxy, 5 away wins, but 3 home wins, and that's not going to get you nowhere. But,
that isn't a mind-blowing stat.
Yeah, and I think it's tough for ties in professional soccer. There's no way around it. I don't want to talk about going to penalty shootouts and whatever, but I just got to get away from the tie, because you got to stop encouraging the 0-0s or the 1-1 snoozers of games, because what percentage of games are them low-scoring affairs where you got your team who's just trying to hang on and accumulate points to maybe seal
Hence
up a playoff
the term
spot.
park the bus. They go on the road,
park the yacht,
and they always have that saying that a tie on the road is like a win at home. Baloney. It's a loss. A 0-0 in my mind is a loss. Like you ran out there for 90 minutes and neither of you could accomplish anything. Come on, man.
Yeah, just
like NHL finally got rid of the tie years ago, and I think it's something that FIFA needs to look into. Get rid of that tie, man.
Yeah, maybe a shootout,
or maybe enhance the. We've already enhanced that the win is 3 points, a tie is 1, but maybe entice that win maybe is 5 points, and then, like you said, if it's a 0-0, they both get no points.
I'd love that.
Double zero, you both get no points. You're going to tell me a team's going to sit on getting no points when it's 0-0? If it's a 1-1, okay, you both walk out with a point.
That makes me sick.
Yeah.
0-0.
0-0, like.
And, in all honesty, especially late in the playoffs, like almost every first stage of 2-game series is always a 0-0 draw.
Yeah.
And it drives me nuts.
Because they're just feeling each other out.
Right, and it doesn't, and it's like it doesn't matter. Like
they're not pushing forward. It's like, let's play conservative and not take chances because we can walk out the first like 0-0, then it's going to come down to 1 game.
Right, because the weaker team's usually at home because the better team's got the second game.
I mean, there's a funny thing I was watching. Well, I was watching this years ago. I don't know if you recall.
Free TV?
Yeah. The Simpsons episode where Bart's like a forward in ice hockey and Lisa Simpson's a goalie. And they're all like, what happened? The game ended. And they're like, oh, it was a tie. And Homer's like, they're both losers.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's just that saying in my head is, as a coach, I take a draw as a loss. I hate the feeling of a draw because it's like, but you didn't lose. I'm like, that's like, wow, the pessimistic look, like, oh, but you didn't lose. I'm like, no, man, I want to win. I don't want to go out there and coach for a tie. You get in trouble. That's why the U.S. men are not in the World Cup, because they looked at it, all we need is a tie against Trinidad and Tobago. No, dude, don't even bring up the T word, man. That's the T word from here on out in the World Sports Show. Don't bring up the T word, man. Go for the W, man. Never coach for a tie. If you coach for a tie, you're a loser because you're going to walk out a loser. That's what I'll put on a T-shirt. If you coach for a tie, you're a loser.
Ties are for losers.
Yeah, ties are for losers, dude.
Wins are for winners. Ties are for losers.
Loser for our...
I mean, there's some circumstances as a coach where, not that I'm coaching for a tie, but it was a transition to try and seal a tie. I mean, if
there's times where ties feel good if you're down 3-0, 2-0, and you battle back, and in the 90th minute, it does feel like a win, but I still remind myself we gave up 2 early goals to go down.
Yeah, well, if you're the inferior team and you're actually tied, and that tie is going to get you in the playoffs.
This is true.
I'm tying the game. I'm keeping a tie.
Are you going to put an asterisk or little small fine print below your little, like, ties are for losers unless you need to get in the playoffs?
That's it. That's it.
Sure, remind everybody out there you're listening to a World Sports Show on WPPN LP. He's John DiCriscio. I'm Charlie Flowe. We broadcast every Monday night on Philly Cam's radio station here at 106.5 FM in beautiful downtown Philadelphia, right outside of Independence Mall. Stone's throw from the Liberty Bell. Not many radio stations can say that they broadcast this close to the Liberty Bell. They're all spread out over Philadelphia, so we're very happy and privileged to be broadcasting just a few feet from the Liberty Bell.
That's right. And if there's a Wikipedia page about Philadelphia in 30 years from now, if it's like, famous historical events at 7th and was it Randstad or Market, what happened in the area, we can check it off. A lot of American history here, and it's like, the elevated and World Sports Show.
If we could invent a time machine, we'd get Ben Franklin on the show.
I mean,
seriously, we're about 2 blocks from Ben Franklin's house.
I wouldn't. I'd hate to see him ran on about 0-0 ties and parking the bus. And
he'd tell you to go fly kite.
Yeah,
go fly kite with that parking the bus things.
Go to the
Here,
zoo.
hold this. Go to the zoo. You and your knickers.
Yeah.
No, we've had a great year, and make sure you tune in next week. I know that it'll be Christmas, but we'll be having a best of show. So I would advise you to schedule your Christmas dinner around World Sports Show. Put it on. I'm sure your grandmother would love to eat turkey and hear about the best of 2017 and eat some cranberry sauce and some turkey and mashed potatoes and listen to the best of World Sports Show 2017. We'll be going into 2018, debuting all of our best of awards. We'll have the World Sports Show awards on our next show in 2018. So fans, reach out to us. Mailbag at worldsportshow.com, Twitter at worldsportshow. Or just at World Sports Show. Hit us up on all our social media. We'll be tweeting out information of what our awards be and how you can vote for them. John, it's been a great year, man.
It's been real. I mean, only looking forward to 2018. We got a lot of stuff on the plate, so I think that we can work that out pretty good.
All right, everybody, have yourself a happy holiday, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace out.
See you then.